Loving a narcissist is like betting on a gamble full of uncertainty. Today they might hate you with a passion, and tomorrow they could love you intensely. Their erratic and inconsistent behavior keeps you on edge, never knowing what their next move might be. You forgive, accommodate, and try to appease them, but it's futile. This only exhausts you, drains your energy, and inflates the ego of the narcissist. They constantly demand your time, love, and attention, but never reciprocate. So what should you do? Stop feeding your emotions into them. Don't chase after them, react, or try to please or seek their approval. Your indifference will disorient them, acting as a psychological shock. Narcissists feed on an emotional supply to fuel their sense of control. They want you to love and care for them so they can continue to manipulate and dominate you. When you become indifferent, they panic, feel out of control, and scramble to win you back. That's when you turn the tables and claim victory in the game they designed. Let go of illusions and accept the reality that they will not change. The first and most crucial piece of advice when dealing with a narcissist is this: never hope they will change. Accept them for who they truly are, with all their flaws and toxicity. Only when you release the expectation of changing them can you free yourself from their influence and manipulation. Trying to change a narcissist will only lead to more pain, making you a victim of their cunning tricks. Remember, a narcissist will never change. They lack self-awareness, the will to grow, and the motivation to improve themselves. All they crave is to continue draining your energy, attention, and emotions. Don't plead for their compassion or try to justify your innocence. They lack genuine empathy and may even derive satisfaction from your suffering. Don't search for empathy in a narcissist. Their soul is like a barren desert where emotions wither and understanding is a mirage. Blinded by their enormous ego, they live in their own world, trampling the fragile souls around them, whether unintentionally or deliberately. Trying to connect with them is like a traveler lost in a desert, drained and increasingly lost. Take the advice of philosopher Epictetus. Do not concern yourself with what is beyond your control. The behavior of a narcissist is one such unknown, and obsessing over it only leads to disappointment. Hoping they will change is as futile as expecting rain in the desert. A false hope. Instead, emulate Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Find strength within yourself. You control your mind, not external events. Focus on managing your own reactions. That is the key to weathering the storm of narcissism and finding inner peace. Master the art of silence. Imagine this. A narcissist is akin to a sophisticated parasite thriving on your emotional reactions. They exist and grow in the chaos they create, much like cunning predators constantly hunting for their next emotional meal. Unfortunately, you are often their favorite feast. The moment you react, whether in anger, frustration, or despair, they believe they've won. To them, your reaction confirms their control and their invincibility. But what happens if you shift the dynamic? What if you deprive them of the emotional food they crave? This is where the first critical strategy comes into play: becoming as cold as ice and mastering your emotions. Recall the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When dealing with a narcissist, never let your emotions become their puppet. If you feel yourself about to lose it, pause, breathe deeply, and ground your mind in the present moment. Losing your composure hands them the power they crave. Narcissists are master manipulators who push your emotional buttons. They tap into old wounds, awaken fears, guilt, or anger, and make you lose control, distancing you from your true self. But remember Seneca's words: if someone can anger you, ask yourself if it is their power or your weakness that allows it. Stay vigilant. Don't let yourself be swayed by their antics. When you feel provoked, remind yourself it's just a cheap trick. Focus on the present and tell yourself, negative emotions only persist if I feed them. A simple method is to wear a rubber band on your wrist and snap it gently whenever you feel yourself losing control, or take a few deep, slow breaths to regain your calm. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Silence is your ultimate weapon against a narcissist." When you choose not to react, you deprive them of the energy they crave, your intense emotions, endless arguments, and the rage they hope to provoke. They cannot manipulate what they cannot elicit. Narcissists want to drag you into their chaos, trapping you in their web of turmoil and loss of control. As Epictetus taught, if someone tries to provoke you, remember, it is you who allows that anger to exist. They find joy in making you struggle because your resistance validates their dominance, much like a pig revels in the mud. But the outcome is always the same. You're the one left hurt, emotionally and mentally drained. Be wiser, don't let yourself be ensnared in their game. Instead, take control by establishing your own rules. In this game, silence is the most powerful card you hold. Silence is not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate expression of inner strength. As Seneca said, silence is often the most eloquent response. Silence helps you stay calm, take control of the situation, and neutralize their provocations. Remember, a narcissist only has power if you grant it to them. By standing firm and not reacting, you achieve true victory, not only over them but also over your impulsive emotions. That self-control becomes an impenetrable fortress no one can breach. Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the view we take of them." When you learn to master your emotions, you feel stronger, more confident, and able to turn confrontations into opportunities to assert control. Instead of falling into their emotional traps, you can calmly question, show curiosity, and expose the contradictions in their words. Above all, remember that you are not obligated to justify or explain yourself against any unreasonable accusations they make. Calmness is strength, as Marcus Aurelius asserted. Your unwavering stance and composure are your sharpest weapons to rise above their mind games. No one can manipulate a mind that is autonomous and free. Be that person. Cutting ties with them. To decisively win the narcissist's game, the most effective strategy is to stop playing altogether. Epictetus once said, "No one can harm you unless you allow it." Choosing to walk away from their life is not a sign of weakness or defeat. It is the ultimate expression of control over your own life and emotions. Don't just step away. Disappear completely. No contact, no replies to calls, messages or emails, and no direct or indirect interactions. Consider it an act of self-preservation from the toxic cycle they perpetuate. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Hold your inner peace as a fortress no external force can shake." When you vanish from their life, it's akin to slamming the door shut and throwing the key into the abyss. They lose all power to manipulate you because their game relies entirely on controlling your emotions and reactions. Losing you sends them into disarray, as behind their facade of arrogance and confidence lies a deep fear of abandonment and being exposed for who they truly are. Seneca wrote, "If you wish to control your pain, do not let it depend on things outside your control." A narcissist doesn't lament losing the relationship with you. They regret losing the supply for their selfish needs. To them, you are not a whole person, but a tool, a source of exploitation, control, and the way to fill their inner void. When you leave, they will use every tactic to pull you back. From sweet promises of change to threats and psychological intimidation. Remember, these are not genuine attempts to repair the relationship, but desperate bids to regain control. Don't forget that your safety, freedom, and happiness matter above all else. Choose the path of peace, as Marcus Aurelius advised. Do not waste time arguing with those who cannot change. Let them live with their choices, and you live with your freedom. Walking away is not giving up. It's reclaiming control over your life and embarking on a new journey where you can truly be yourself, free from the chains of manipulation. Practicing emotional detachment. When a narcissist erupts, they often stage dramatic, tension-filled scenarios to pull you back into their game. These are not typical outbursts of anger. They are calculated strategies to exploit your vulnerabilities. Epictetus said, "People do not upset you, it is your interpretation of their actions that does." Understand that their words and actions in these moments are bait. They aim to poke at your deepest insecurities, stirring feelings of hurt, fear, or even despair. Their goal isn't to resolve any issue but to provoke a reaction, so they can regain control and feed their insatiable ego. So what should you do? First, remain calm. As Marcus Aurelius taught, keep your mind steady amidst things that are not worth it. Don't take the bait, and don't let them drag you into their vortex of negativity and pointless arguments. Whatever they say or do, remind yourself that you don't need to explain or justify yourself. It's merely their ploy to provoke your emotions. Reacting gives them power, but maintaining silence and composure neutralizes their tactics. Observe them with detachment, keeping a poker face, a neutral expression that shows no emotion or interest. Seneca wisely advised, "Calmness is the greatest strength of a person." Your unshakable demeanor will confuse them, forcing them to change their tactics. They need your reactions to maintain control, and without it, their internal instability begins to surface. Setting boundaries. Establish clear boundaries and prepare to defend them. This is a lesson in self-discipline that Marcus Aurelius emphasized. No one has the right to trespass on your soul unless you permit it. Narcissists, known for their disregard and need for control, won't easily accept the limits you set. They will view your boundaries not only as defiance, but as a direct challenge to their imagined authority. To them, everything must revolve around their desires, and your rules threaten their manipulative nature. When you set boundaries, you are not just drawing lines of acceptance and rejection, you are asserting your autonomy. Epictetus once said, "What is yours, protect it. What is not, let it go." Boundaries are your declaration that you won't allow anyone to violate your rights and dignity. However, narcissists won't comply easily. To them, your boundaries are a challenge, and they will test them persistently. Initially, they may gently push against your limits to gauge your reaction. This is when you must show unwavering firmness. Setting boundaries is difficult, but defending them is exponentially harder. As Seneca taught, steadfastness is the most important virtue of a wise person. If you yield early on, you unwittingly open the door for them to deepen their control and manipulation. Narcissists will not only see your boundaries as an affront, but also as a personal attack on their authority. They may respond with intense resistance, anger, or attempts to undermine your confidence. Remember, their opposition is a sign that you are on the right track. Epictetus reminded us, "Fear not the anger of others, but fear your own loss of control." Stay calm and ready to extinguish the fire they try to ignite. Ultimately, protecting your boundaries is not just an action, but a mindset. You need to remain vigilant and perceptive, like a detective, to recognize their subtle manipulative tactics. Persistently uphold the truth and your position. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Truth is your strongest weapon. Live by the truth and nothing can harm you." Boundaries not only affirm your autonomy, but also serve as a fortress that shields your soul from the assaults of narcissistic manipulation. Practice facing your own wounds. Have the courage to embark on the deepest journey within yourself, the journey of exploring your subconscious, where hidden pieces quietly shape how you build and maintain relationships. Epictetus once said, "The things we avoid end up ruling our lives." This is a task no one can undertake for you, and while it may be difficult, it is an essential foundation for healing and finding true happiness. Pause and ask yourself, What in your past is shaping your present? Ghosts of old wounds may still be haunting you, forcing you to repeat patterns deeply ingrained in your psyche. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Remember, it is not what happens to you that harms you, but how you perceive it." If you lack the courage to confront these wounds, they will keep resurfacing, no matter how far you run, how many relationships you end, or how many ties you sever. It is a law of the mind. Unresolved issues trap us in endless loops. To break this cycle, you need to start by asking yourself profound and honest questions. Where have I felt this before? Does this person remind me of someone from my past? Is there a childhood wound silently steering my emotions? These questions are not just tools for self-reflection, but keys to unlocking long-sealed drawers of memory. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more terrifying than running away from oneself." But when you muster the courage to peer into the dark corners of your soul, you'll find that the darkness isn't as frightening as you once thought. It is the act of avoidance that truly fuels fear. Imagine your subconscious as a map with unexplored territories, each piece, each magnet pulling you towards similar people and situations, represents part of this map. As you begin to face these elements, you gain not only a deeper understanding of yourself, but also the ability to reclaim control over your life. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "The greatest victory is the victory over oneself." This process might force you to confront painful wounds, but it also brings priceless freedom. By recognizing and releasing old patterns, you stop attracting toxic relationships. Instead, you open the door to peace, happiness, and healthy connections. It's a challenging journey, but the rewards far outweigh the fears. Remember, the path to healing is not about running away, it's about confronting, and in doing so, you not only heal, but also rediscover yourself, a stronger, freer, and more authentically happy version of you. Show confidence in the presence of a narcissist. Demonstrate your confidence, even if you feel anxious or afraid inside. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by how we perceive it." Confidence is not a feeling, it's an action you choose to take despite inner turmoil. Your body language is the clearest expression of your attitude and strength. When facing a narcissist, stand tall, hold your head high, and look them directly in the eye. This doesn't just project steadiness, but sends a powerful message that you are not easily intimidated. Speak firmly, clearly, and with conviction. As Marcus Aurelius taught, true power lies in mastery of oneself, not in controlling others. In these moments, control your voice, breath, and rhythm. This not only helps you maintain composure, but also creates a strong barrier against their provocative words or actions. Remind yourself that you have nothing to be ashamed of or to hide. You have the right to exist, express yourself, and reject control from anyone. Narcissists are often caught off guard or even threatened by your confidence. Seneca wrote, "Nothing terrifies the weak more than the confidence and steadfastness of others." When they attempt to counterattack with provoking words or actions, don't panic. View this as a sign that you are gaining the upper hand in this psychological game. They may feel their grip slipping as your confidence acts like a mirror reflecting their insecurities and weaknesses. Think of your confidence as an invisible armor. It not only protects you from their manipulative tactics, but also undermines their ability to control you. They cannot poke or unsettle you when you remain steadfast in your posture and speech. Marcus Aurelius stated, "What matters most is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it." So, maintain your confidence and calm demeanor. When you do, you don't just navigate the confrontation, you assert ownership of your life. Confidence is a light that no narcissist can dim. Practicing letting go of the ego. To escape the toxic game of the narcissist, you must learn to let go of the ego as a seemingly simple, yet profoundly challenging lesson that requires spiritual maturity. Epictetus said, "Strength is not in never being subdued, but in self-restraint." Letting go of the ego is precisely that act of self-restraint, a choice that demands humility, self-respect, inner strength, and above all, courage. At first it might feel like a loss, but trust me, when you truly achieve this, you'll realize its immense value far exceeds any expectations. Letting go of the ego doesn't mean becoming weak or conceding defeat. On the contrary, it's the ultimate expression of strength. Marcus Aurelius taught, "True power lies in mastering your own mind, not in controlling others." When you let go of the ego, you no longer get caught up in the antics or manipulative schemes of the narcissist. You don't need to fight for the last word or strive to win meaningless arguments or superstitious hypotheses, because you understand that such victories are illusions and bring nothing of real worth. Trust in yourself and refuse to be dragged into the mud of negative emotions they intentionally create. As Seneca advised, the wise person does not let themselves be unsettled by trivial matters. They stand firm like a rock against the waves. When you no longer feel the need to win or prove yourself, you free yourself from their manipulative cycle. They want you to react, to lose your composure, but when you choose silence and maintain your stance, you reclaim control for yourself. At this point, you're no longer playing by their rules. Instead, you've entered a completely different game, the game of self-mastery, inner strength, and spiritual freedom. This is a game the narcissist cannot understand, because their entire existence is trapped in dependence on others' emotions and validation. They cannot comprehend the power of a liberated soul, unchained from the ego or the need for control. This is the true victory. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Your happiness depends on the quality of your thoughts. Guard them well, for they are your safe haven." By letting go of the ego, you not only rise above the narcissist's manipulation, but also open the door to a new life, a life where you are truly in charge of your mind, emotions, and actions. This is not just liberation from them, but also a journey back to the best and strongest version of yourself. Be cautious and retain records. When dealing with a narcissist, information is not just a weapon, but a tool to help you maintain control and composure. Epictetus advised, "Be cautious of what you say and do, for not everyone has good intentions." Become a smart observer, meticulously documenting everything from the smallest details to significant events. This preparation is not about exposing them, but about staying one step ahead, understanding the situation and anticipating their next move. However, don't rush to use what you know to expose or boast. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Restraint is strength, haste leads to failure." Quietly gather and store evidence discreetly. These records not only act as a shield to protect you in the future, but also help you resist the temptation to retaliate in anger, an act that would only cause you to lose your advantage and inadvertently give them control. Document every conversation, message, and email in a notebook, but don't rely on memory, as emotions can distort it. Instead, record details with specific dates and times. If necessary, use tools like voice recorders or cameras to capture critical moments. Seneca said, "Prepare for the unforeseen, as preparation is the foundation of safety." These records not only clarify the situation, but can also serve as keys to escaping the toxic cycles the narcissist creates. View this record-keeping not as a burdensome task, but as an act of self-care and protection. This practice is a way to show love for yourself, respect your value, and build a shield against harm. As Marcus Aurelius emphasized, inner peace is something you create for yourself, not something others can give you. Lastly, your journey doesn't stop at self-protection. Continue to expand your understanding and cultivate inner strength. Knowledge not only helps you overcome pain, but also leads to true freedom and recovery, a state where the narcissist holds no power over you. Accepting what happens. The Stoics teach us that amor fati, love of fate, is not passive resignation, but an invitation to live with profound acceptance. This means embracing not only pleasant experiences, but also challenges, surprises, and even painful events as essential parts of life's journey. Epictetus said, "What happens to you doesn't matter as much as how you respond to it. Every obstacle, whether minor or significant, is a valuable opportunity to strengthen the mind, cultivate inner resilience, and move closer to self-mastery." Marcus Aurelius emphasized, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Difficult people and adverse circumstances don't just test our patience, they're lessons that help us grow. Don't resist reality or wish for people and events to align with your desires. Such resistance is the root of suffering. By shifting your perspective to align with reality rather than fighting it, you move from resistance to harmony with life. Epictetus also affirmed, "Happiness depends not on circumstances, but on how you face them." Instead of worrying or attempting to change what's beyond your control, focus on adjusting your reactions. When faced with a stressful situation, amor fati becomes a powerful tool if you reshape your perspective. Instead of thinking, "This person is so difficult," try reframing it as, "This is an opportunity to practice patience and compassion." Viewing challenges as life lessons transforms frustration into personal growth. Consider a practical example. When encountering a rude person, rather than reacting impulsively or feeling hurt, put yourself in their shoes. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Remember, everyone carries burdens you cannot see." Ask yourself, what might they be going through to act this way? This doesn't mean excusing or justifying bad behavior, but it helps you separate your emotions from their action. Empathy combined with amor fati allows you to stay calm and avoid being pulled into their negative spiral. Accepting fate and loving even its difficult parts is how you turn adversity into strength. As Seneca said, "No wind is unfavorable to the sailor who knows where they are going." Amor fati is not just a philosophy, but a reminder that in every situation you can find opportunities to strengthen your mind and heart, becoming a freer and stronger version of yourself each day. Refusing responsibility for others' emotions. Never take responsibility for the emotions of a narcissist. This is one of the most important lessons for maintaining autonomy and inner peace. Narcissists often use a subtle manipulation tactic, blaming you for their negative emotions. They want you to believe you are the cause of their insecurity, anger, or frustration. However, as Epictetus said, "It's not what happens that disturbs us, but how we interpret it." Their emotions are not the result of your actions, but of how they choose to perceive and react to the world. When a narcissist convinces you that it's your responsibility to soothe their emotions, they aren't seeking peace. Instead, they're trying to trap you in their web of control, a powerful yet invisible snare. They exploit your compassion and empathy to make you serve their needs. This not only erodes your personal freedom, but also entangles you further in an unbalanced relationship where you are manipulated and overwhelmed. Marcus Aurelius taught, "You have the power to decide what enters your mind. Don't let others invade it." A narcissist's emotions are their responsibility. Their anger or sadness is not yours to carry. It reflects their internal struggles and their approach to the world, not something you are obligated to fix. When you allow them to impose guilt or responsibility on you, you relinquish control over your own emotions, turning the relationship even more toxic. Stay calm in the face of the emotional storms they create. Remember, you have the right to refuse participation in their chaos. If they try to make you feel guilty, pause and remind yourself, each person is responsible for their own emotions. This is not selfishness, it is maturity and self-respect. As Seneca wrote, The wise person is not controlled by others' emotions, but masters their own. Refusing to be manipulated does not mean you lack empathy. It's a way to protect your inner peace, a peace the narcissist often seeks to disrupt to maintain control. By setting clear boundaries, you assert your right to control your life and emotions. This not only helps you escape their toxic emotional games, but also paves the way to true freedom. Instead of getting caught up in their theatrics, focus on building self-mastery. Self-mastery is not just a core Stoic value, but also the key to a peaceful and balanced life. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, your happiness depends on the quality of your thoughts. Don't let negative thoughts and others' emotions dominate your mind. Instead, guard the tranquility of your soul, because that is the path to true freedom and happiness. Live with pride and appreciate your worth. Allow yourself to live as though you already have everything you need, because the truth is, you do. Holding your head high is not just a posture, it is a declaration of self-worth. It serves as a reminder that you are the main character in your own story, and that others' opinions do not determine your value. For me, learning to hold my head high wasn't easy. There were times when I looked down, avoided eye contact, and shrank back to protect myself from the sting of criticism. But over time, I realized that each time I lifted my head, refusing to let negativity infiltrate my soul, I grew stronger. Every time I stood tall, it was a reminder that my worth doesn't depend on anyone's approval. I can stand firm, proud of who I am. Holding your head high is not merely a physical stance, but also a mental one. When you enter a room, do so as if you belong there. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's expectations of who you should be. If someone throws hurtful comments your way, let them flow past you, like water over a rock. Remember, those words do not define you. They are merely reflections of their insecurities, biases, and limitations. They don't see the real you because they are trapped in their own world. So next time you face disrespect, take a deep breath, stand tall, lift your head, and look them in the eye. Let your gaze send a silent message. I see you, but I am above this. You will feel a surge of inner strength, a peaceful sense of reclaiming ownership over your life. Respect starts with you. Epictetus said, "No one can harm you unless you allow it." The more you value yourself, the less room you leave for others' disrespect to take hold. When you stand firm, proud of your worth, you send a clear message. You are not someone who compromises to please those unworthy of you. Life is too short to change yourself to fit the perspective of those who don't value you. Live with your head held high, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for yourself. You don't need anyone's permission to protect your peace and live the life you choose. Every time you lift your head, you affirm your right to exist fully, with dignity, confidence, and inner peace. Walk with that confidence, because you are absolutely deserving. Traits of narcissists used to manipulate victims. Covert narcissists are masters of hiding inner chaos behind a facade of perfection. This mask is not only to deceive others, but also a tool for avoiding their own inner turmoil. However, when this mask begins to slip, those perceptive enough may sense a profound darkness emanating from them, a shadow that seems to consume all positivity around it. This is not mere pessimism. Their darkness is a calculated strategy to control, manipulate, and weaken others. Covert narcissists rarely attack directly. They prefer subtler means of gaining attention, causing problems, shifting blame, and reframing situations to appear as the victim in the eyes of others. One hallmark is their targeting of those they perceive as threats, or who simply irritate them. They may resort to silence at critical moments, not out of lack of words, but as a weapon. Their silence is designed to confuse, isolate, or erode your confidence. It's not a sign of weakness, but a calculated form of manipulation. Covert narcissists often enlist third parties, close friends, partners, or even family members, to serve as tools in their schemes. They manipulate these individuals to turn them against you, isolate you, and make you feel as though you have no safe space. Epictetus once said, "The worst enemy is not the one who confronts you openly, but the one who undermines you in the shadows." This perfectly encapsulates how covert narcissists operate. They don't shout or use violence, but their presence is rife with schemes. One of their most insidious tactics is creating a flawless public image. They are often admired and respected by those who don't truly know them. Beneath this exterior lies a completely different reality. They use strategies like love bombing to win your trust, but as soon as you trust them, they begin to manipulate you with lies and demeaning behavior. These manipulations aren't loud, but subtly corrode your confidence and self-esteem over time. What's particularly alarming is that even when alone, their negative emotions spill over and affect those around them. People who interact with them often leave feeling drained, confused, or off balance, because their negativity spreads invisibly, but powerfully. Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, "Stay away from anything that corrodes your soul." In the case of covert narcissists, this must be applied diligently. Even if you choose to sever ties, maintaining both physical and emotional distance is essential. Covert narcissists are architects of isolation and chaos. They use cunning and subtlety to build power in the shadows, undermining anyone who dares to confront or obstruct them. Their harm is not a one-time act, but a prolonged cycle of suffering, where their victims gradually lose the ability to distinguish reality from manipulation. The best way to protect yourself is to recognize the signs early, uphold strong boundaries, and avoid getting drawn into their web. As Seneca said, "Always master your mind, for it is the one thing they cannot take unless you allow it." Does a narcissist truly love you? One of the most frequent questions I hear is, does a narcissist love me, or has ever loved me? This question isn't just about the meaning of the three words "I love you," words that are easy to say but carry immense weight. It's also a question about truth, intention, and how we define love in difficult relationships. Bell Hooks once said, "Imagine how much easier it would be to learn how to love if we began with a shared definition. But in a relationship with a narcissist, there is no shared definition. For them, love is not a harmonious connection, but a projection of their ego." Narcissists often say, "I love you," not to express genuine feelings, but to end an argument, manipulate emotions, or simply echo your words when you say them first. But what does that phrase truly mean to them? Love in their eyes may translate to admiration, servitude, or anything that makes them feel elevated and in control. It's not unconditional love, it's love conditional on one thing: serving their ego. Consider their behavior. They lie, betray, mock, deny, and then turn around to say they love you. This is not love as most of us understand it. It's more akin to psychological manipulation, a game where your emotions are used as tools to maintain their control. When a narcissist says, "I love you," what they might really mean is, "I love how you make me feel important." Their love isn't about you, it's about themselves and the emotions you help them experience. Epictetus wisely observed, "People act not because of the world itself, but because of how they perceive it." For narcissists, everything revolves around their perception, not reality. It's difficult to face the truth that a narcissist's love is not like the love we envision. It lacks empathy, sacrifice, and reciprocity. They cannot step outside themselves long enough to truly be present in a balanced relationship. Love, as they define it, is conditional, focused on admiration, ego, and control. You might notice their affection when things go their way, when they get what they want, or when you fulfill their insatiable needs. But during tough times, when you need love and support, they disappear, or worse, turn you into a target for their anger and blame. One of the most dangerous questions you can ask a narcissist is, "Do you love me?" Because the answer will never be clear or truthful. A better question to ask yourself is, "What do I feel in this relationship?" As Marcus Aurelius taught. Do not wait for others to make you happy. Happiness comes from how you choose to perceive and face life. You don't need their answer to understand that they may not be capable of loving you in the way you desire. They might love you in their own way, but that way could be far from the love you need. Instead, turn inward and trust your feelings. Listen to yourself. Love isn't defined solely by someone else's words, but by how it makes you feel. If you don't feel loved, safe, or valued, then it might not be real love. As Seneca advised, find peace within yourself, for it cannot come from others. Ultimately, the definition of true love doesn't come from what others say or do, but from how you choose to love and respect yourself. Even if you've been ensnared in the web of a narcissist, don't rush to blame yourself or lose hope. Remember, you are not alone in this struggle. More importantly, you have the power to turn the tables if you know how to harness your inner strength. It's true that being in a relationship with a narcissist often leaves you feeling powerless and hurt. They seem to wield all the control, leaving you physically and emotionally drained. But consider this from a different angle. These disadvantages can be opportunities for you to build resilience, uncover strength, and grow as a person. They are indifferent? Treat this as a lesson in independence and self-love. Can they manipulate? See this as a challenge to sharpen your clarity and steadfastness. They create conflict? Take it as an opportunity to practice calmness and emotional regulation. Don't let yourself be consumed by the fire of a narcissist. Extinguish it with the water of logic and mental strength. Together, let's explore the strategies to transform disadvantages into advantages and turn your battle with a narcissist into a journey of self-reinvention.